tippy top. Okay. So we're here with Ösla, a group of two people, one being Henry, who we've decided covers 85 to 95% of the work, and Bradley, who comes in and polishes off the last 15 to 5% for good measure.
I don't like the term polish off.
I feel
it sounds like
I love it.
You're like, oh, we got these leftovers, but we know Bradley is going to show up and polish these off.
Well, I feel like that's an industry term, and that's like
garbage disposal.
That might be too inside baseball, too inside business. A business muso.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
Right. And Henry, explain yourself. What you?
Well, I do most of like the creative side of the project.
Mm-hmm.
I write the music and the songs, for the most part, and Bradley mixes everything and produces everything and takes care of all the stuff that I hate to do and am bad at.
Okay.
And also provides, additional instruments, bass guitar, some other
like sounds.
Yeah.
Soundscapes?
Just sounds.
Soundscapes.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that Brad does as a band member that really upsets you and you want to address right now? No, I'm joking.
No, let's do it.
No, we're
right
here
right now.
Time.
Well, we got the hood up. Let's go ahead and take care of this. No, I'm just joking. But you guys have toured pretty decent amount. A lot of out west.
Yeah, a lot of little tours.
Well, yeah,
but
they add up.
Done quite a bit.
What's your favorite place that you played in as Ösla?
Good question. Bradley?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. The first place that came to mind was not a place we played as Ösla, though, because we used to tour. We used to tour before,
right?
When Henry had a different project.
Okay.
I had a different project. Both of us were doing our own thing.
Right.
So we were like tour partners before we before we worked on each other's
collabs.
Music. Yeah. But we were in St. Louis at a place called
Plush.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And it was really cool.
It was awesome.
And it closed down like a year later, so.
Plush sounds like a sex club.
It felt like one.
Yeah.
No, it was like really nice. It felt like a nice nightclub kind of.
Yeah.
It was a big place with lots of velvet curtains.
Oh yeah.
And they had like a restaurant where you got free food.
Right.
And they had like some ping pong tables on a roof or something. It was great.
I have a vague memory of that.
Yeah. But I think they closed down.
Why was it good sound, or was it a cool club, or what was the?
I don't remember too much about it, to be like how the sound was. I just remember it was huge and really nice, well funded.
Yeah, they had good sound. They actually had like they had actually tried to treat the space, like as far as
the plush or the velvet carpet on the wall.
It actually lends itself, but they had actually, it looked like they actually made an attempt, which is, and it sounded really good. Like a lot of venues I think they think that dealing with the acoustic stuff, the treatment of the room is like an afterthought. Not
a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I think they just think it's really expensive, and it's kind of like, well, that's like the lowest priority.
Right.
So it was nice to be in a place that some thought had actually been put into the sound, and the sound guy was really good and like knew what he was doing. Was actually like a professional as far as like just someone they paid to come do the sound, and seemed to know what he was doing.
Right.
It's really nice and rare.
Yeah, for sure.
especially if they're friendly.
Oh man,
That's just such a rare thing.
You hit a weird the sweet spot for a club.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And I feel bad for the sound men of the world, but
R.I.P. Plush.
Big shout out. Was that oh, you said they closed like shortly after y'all played there?
yeah, it's been closed for a while. I don't know why I brought it up, but
You got and
this
you
is a
guys
good memory.
you guys playing there wasn't the cause of it, was it?
I think it
Closing
helped.
down.
It certainly
Yeah,
didn't
It was
help.
not a well attended show, but
Yeah.
for such a big space, I think it was like
I think it was
relatively good.
yeah.
But as far as like, it was a massive place.
Yeah. What? Okay. So, on the opposite end of that, do you have the worst show experience?
There's
You
a
don't. You
lot.
don't have to throw.
There's a lot.
You don't have to throw clubs or bands under the bus, but if you want to, I
I
don't care.
will. No,
Yeah, I mean, I don't care.
do you have one?
Probably, I would definitely want to, for that question, it'd be easier to draw from those touring days from our previous projects as well. I don't know, probably on that tour or like one of the tours before. This is like 2013, 2014. Definitely a few times playing to 0 people.
Yeah.
Showing up at a venue and them having no.
Oh, there's a show tonight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That deal.
Yeah.
I think the dynamic range of how shows would go when we toured before was much broader than it is for us now, where it's sort of like now we know. I think Henry knows where to book.
Yeah.
And the kind of place and the way to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's just much more like worst case scenario is not that bad anymore.
Right.
Whereas before there were some like weirdly cool times where it's just
Right.
like I can't believe we're
You
playing
weren't
at this
expecting
big place
anything,
and
yeah.
why are they paying us and stuff. But there were also just like, I would say like 4 out of 5 was
Right.
just a complete like waste of our
Like, what's
time,
going
or
on?
like show up and it's either a place where no one knew you were playing and the person that booked you is not there,
Right.
and doesn't work on that day.
No, of course not.
And the people who are there are like people, if there are people there, it's because it's a place that's like they
A
have a
hangout.
built-in crowd and
Yeah.
they weren't going there to hear music.
Right.
Or it's a place where you should never be playing and there's just no one there. Or there were a lot of bad experiences. I
For
think.
sure.
Now it's more like everything feels more predictable. Maybe part of it is just because we've been doing it longer. But I don't know. I came back to your original question. I think we've played a few times in Taos, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes to mind just as like high up on my list show experiences, just because of like friends we've met there and
Right.
like I don't know, so many variables go into
My favorite state, I think, New Mexico.
it's such
Is
a
it
good
really?
state. Yeah. It's solid.
What's so cool about New Mexico?
Just like driving through it is really nice. There's like a lot of
Mountains?
different. There's
Yeah,
like it feels like
definitely
everything. Like you
mountains.
can kind of see a lot of different stuff, and it's all really nice.
Yeah.
And feels like really unique. And then Taos is a really strange but sweet place with like lots of kind of weird artists congregate to this remote city. I don't really know like why they're there, but it's really fun.
They just ended up there, man.
Yeah,
that's
like
where
something
their
about
that's
that
where their
place,
boat
like,
landed.
draws people.
Sure.
Weird.
Yeah, it's really strange, but it's really cool.
Is it a college town?
It's like a ski town.
Oh, okay.
It's like
What?
I don't think there's a college, no.
There's no Taos State. Taos
Probably
Poli
is.
Sci.
I'm sure there's something out there.
What is ski town? I've never skied before. What do you mean by ski town? Can you give a vibe check or a vibe rundown of a ski town?
Yeah, just a place with a ski resort. People will, you've got seasonal workers who want to come and stay there so they can ski and then also rich vacationers who want to go. You know, it just, always an interesting dynamic when you have those two groups.
Right.
I think Taos is kind of unique because it seems like a place where there are people who are not there because it's like it exists because it's a ski town. But they don't like. We meet a lot of people. Henry's into skiing, so he'll ask people about skiing, and it seems like we meet a lot of people who are like, "Nah, never done it,
never heard of it."
Like, "Oh yeah,
never touched the stuff."
It. You know, yeah. So it seems like there's like a weird community, or like at least a group of people who live there permanently, and maybe even like work. A couple people we know that work at the ski resort, but aren't like ski people.
Right.
They just wanted to move out to the desert, kind of.
Wait, so it's the desert. How often does it snow in the desert?
So every Utah and like I don't know about Colorado, but like Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, at least some of all of those states are considered the high desert. Mm-hmm. So it can be mountainous, and it maybe speaks more to like how it's dry.
Yeah, and there's just like random mountains. It feels like.
Sure.
So on top of the mountain is where the ski resort is.
Okay.
You ski down it.
You're telling me. Hold on. There's snow at the top of a mountain?
I was going to put Henry on blast because thinking of the touring stuff.
Yeah.
He did say that like our tours are much better now, and he attributes that in some sense to when we would tour before, like Henry's always been the one that books stuff.
Right.
Even when I was doing my own thing, I just kind of like I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
So it was always kind of his thing. And he said he would like book a show and then never follow up.
Yeah.
Like you told me a couple times you just like booked the show, and then they were like, yeah, it's good, it's on, and then that was like the last communication
until you guys were there at the venue.
And you sort of learned since then.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like,
that is
like I'm not making fun of you because it's like it reminds me of something that I would do where I look back and I'm like, yeah, why did I think that was a good plan?
I just 21, 22-year-old Henry. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you want to think that the person you're setting the show up with is going to do the most.
Right.
When in actuality, there's a 90% chance that they're going to do the least.
Yeah.
So
a big part of it for me was just like contextualizing those email conversations.
Right.
Like thinking of it in the context of their day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's a big part of my day when
you're hitting somebody
book
up.
A show.
Yeah.
And what do they have to lose? Like nothing. They're not making any money.
Right.
They could forget. It doesn't matter.
At some point, I'm glad I realized that it wasn't as big of an occurrence in their day.
Oh man, that's fucking deep.
As it was for me. So I think communication skills have definitely improved.
Yeah.
Over the years, which has led to better outcomes.
Right.
That's how I feel about a lot of like that feeling is like what I feel about a lot of relationships and like dating experiences is looking back and being like, oh yeah, I just never thought that wasn't a smart thing to do.
Wait, what? Like, say that again? You
like,
never thought
just
what was not
that
a smart
feeling
thing?
of like looking back and realizing like, oh yeah, I should have like
said this thing. I should
have said that, or I should have just like followed up. Like, why did I think this was a good idea? Why? Like, it's just when you look back, you're like, how did I not know that?
Right. Yeah. Maturing.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
You're maturing as a booking person. Maturing in relationships.
And as a man.
As a
human being.
As a human being.
I don't know. I just feel like if I look at who I was when I was like a teenager, I just like think of how stupid I was.
Yeah.
And the way I like didn't understand how the world works.
Yeah, hopefully every person looks back on their teenager years and they're like, man, I was dumb as shit. If you don't, then...
I certainly do.
Right. If you don't, then there's something wrong with you.
Something wrong, yeah.
You're like, oh man, I did everything right.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel I feel so clueless. Hopefully, I mean, I assume in like 10 years I'm gonna feel
The same way.
that way about right
so.
now.
Yeah.
You know? Like a 10-year cycle of self-hate.
Yeah, I love it.
I think imposter syndrome is a good thing to have, or a little bit.
Okay.
Right?
Expand on that.
Wait, you think it's a good thing to have?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Can I go on?
Go. Yeah.
Can I defend my point?
Go ahead.
The floor is yours.
Because if you think, oh, well, I deserve to be here. I know I've got it all figured out. Then you really don't. Right?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
There's some
You think
truth
so?
to that.
I'm saying a little bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like a crippling, like, oh, we shouldn't be playing in Taos, New Mexico. We don't deserve this.
We don't deserve it.
You know?
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Just being like taking inventory of yourself.
Auditing.
Yeah,
Self audits.
definitely. Just like,
A lot of people don't. Sorry.
No, I think we've had conversations like about music, like about that. We've had a lot of conversations where we think, or at least I can say, there were times when I was a teenager and like a really unknown, not very good regional band would come through town.
Right.
And I would think, like, this is incredible. They're touring. They're so good. Or whatever. I just thought it was, like, such an accomplishment.
Right.
And then, of course, you, like, start touring, and then you're just like, oh, these
Oh,
shows
man.
aren't good.
Right.
This is embarrassing. So there's, like, a lot of stuff we've gotten to do that I think is,
Oh, man.
you know, I feel the 15-year-old version of myself would be, like, pretty happy,
Right.
I think. If I was like, oh, yeah, you're going to tour. Just that
Right.
alone, it wouldn't matter. Because I remember thinking specifically, like, bands, because we were, like, playing in, local bands and stuff, and the bands that were on the road were just being like, oh, it's not good. It's not
what you think. Yeah.
You know, we're all broke and stuff. And
Right.
I'm like, I don't care.
I don't give
care.
a fuck.
Just to say I did it.
Yeah, that's true.
And now I'm like, you know.
Well, it's kind of like, I guess, oh man, we're getting deep. This is kind of like being like an adult or thinking about your parents as a kid. You're like, oh man, they're infallible. They got it all figured out.
Oh, yeah.
And then you become, well, I just turned 21. So I don't know what it is to be like 31 yet. But
Yeah,
you know, you get older, you get older and you're just like, fuck, is this what my parents were doing? Is this how my parents felt? You know?
Yeah. My parents at my age had they'd been married for 13 years.
whoa.
How old am I? Okay.
What?
They'd been married
Wait.
for 14 years.
What? 18?
They got married at the
At
age
18?
of 18. So I'm
Holy
32.
moly.
They would have been married for 14 years, and they would have had 2 kids already.
Damn.
Because they didn't start having kids till they were like 8 years in, I guess. So, that's like insane to me. Like, I don't know what that's about, but it freaks me out.
Not about
And
that
then
life.
I also remember being a little kid and thinking like, my parents would always say, no, they didn't. Did they get married when they were 18? I don't know. I can't remember. But they might have been 20, so maybe they were married for 12 years. But
Brad, you're ruining this podcast right now.
I can't tell the truth. But I remember being a little kid and thinking like, there's no way I'm waiting till I'm 20 to get married. I was like, oh, 18, second I can. There's just no way. Like, I'll meet my Topanga in high school and then like we'll fall in love and, you know, we'll all go to college together.
Yeah.
And then now that's just like, even at this age, imagining having children just like fills me with panic and despair. Imagining having a dog fills me with despair.
Wow. And dogs are
we don't need to get into this.
Dogs are way more important than kids. So this is, wow.
We don't want me to start talking about my opinions on animals.
Do you think they don't exist?
They don't exist,
They're
yeah.
fake.
They just freak me out. It's a lot of responsibility.
It's true. Well, and being a touring musician, because I'm in a band as well. You guys haven't asked me about being in a band. I'm just joking. But yeah, just like you could be away for weekends at a time, and you're doing like 2-week runs or whatever. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're having to like find a place for the dog or the cat.
Oh yeah.
You know, is it really your dog or cat at that point when you're gone so long or gone so often?
Yeah, that would.
Yeah, I think that's difficult for a lot of facets of life.
Right, going to work, going to like any job,
Having a relationship.
yeah.
Right.
Especially like when we're traveling.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're like road dogs. We just, I don't know, go wild. And it's not true, but I think I couldn't have a good relationship if I weren't with somebody that just kind of had their own stuff going on, you know.
Yeah. Sorry, can I address that
The gorilla,
Kat is here?
the 500-pound gorilla in the room.
The 90-pound gorilla in the room. Kat, Brad's partner, who's a woman.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't
want to out her, but
Well, when you say partner, who knows? But yeah.
yeah, she's over there laughing about the dog conversation. This has been a point of contention.
Right. It's understandable. Well, dogs are great. But yeah, definitely trying to have a relationship with somebody who doesn't get it.
Mm.
Who doesn't get that you're going to be away for a little bit and have that trust of like, I'm only going to hook up with like the ugliest of people.
I want nobody hotter than you.
Right. That's what I
rule.
say. Every time I've been in a relationship, I've been in touring, you know, I've been like,
Oh my god.
not hotter than you. And
disrespectful.
she's been like, I honor that. I honor and respect that. And she bows. And then I bow to her.
Oh my god.
We met on the road when he was on the road, and I went to see Henry.
Oh,
Kat is talking.
That's true. That was the best show.
Kat just
I
said,
forgot about that.
Kat just said off mic that Brad and Kat met on the road.
Yeah, on one of those tours in 2013, 2014.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was another good place in Savannah.
Savannah, yeah. We had a couple of good times in Savannah, I think. A good city. We
Nice.
should go back.
Was that at the Gray Face place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a cool place. Kat is holding up a bag you cannot see right now, but it's
Grave Face Records.
Grave Face
and
Museum.
Oddities.
Yeah. Find them on Instagram. Somehow I
It's a
ended
good
up
place.
following them, or they followed me, and then I met Kat, and the rest is history, you know. So we talked about the best and the worst. What's the middleest show that you guys have had? I'm just joking.
Well, I think I could speak to that.
I mean,
Wait, hold on. Would you rather, okay, on a string of shows, would you rather have all middle, or would you have one popping off show and then everything else bad?
I think all middle.
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah, I think you can only go so high. I don't know.
Just like
I don't know about you guys.
the
but
less deviation, I think the better.
For sure. It's
also, I
I-
can't trust things that are like. There's only so much joy I can allow myself to feel.
Right.
But the pit of despair is an abyss.
I have a friend that I work with, and he says every bottom has a basement. So when you think you hit the bottom, there's a basement
Right,
to the
there's another
bottom.
one, yeah.
Right.
I have like wonderful memories from those shows that had the higher deviations.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like we definitely had fun shows back then. Like kind of the random things where whoever booked the show made up for my lack of communication, and somehow it ended up being good.
Right.
But another time on this. I remember playing in a biker bar.
Is it a leather daddy bar or just a normal biker bar?
More of a normal biker bar. It felt like a lot of like Vietnam vets.
Standard issue biker bar.
Standard-ish. Okay.
They didn't like us that much.
I remember some dancing.
There was some dancing, and it felt like it was at our expense.
Aggressive. They were dancing at us.
Yeah, I don't think it was like we.
Was it like
this.
Thriller? They started to dance at you.
It was just like a drunk.
Oh, drunk.
Man.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
I remember that.
Dancing like kind of ironically.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Right.
Mixed signals for sure.
But it's great. Like in the 2 or 3 tours we've done in the past. I mean, I guess our last tour was like almost a year ago because of COVID. But
because of what?
Of COVID.
What is that?
That's eradicated by the time this comes out.
It's fake.
I'm just joking. Go on.
I just realized that it sounded like I was being serious.
Henry was not being serious.
Thanks.
COVID is real.
Thank you.
Can confirm.
We also weren't being serious about hooking up with.
No, that was serious.
That's not serious.
No, that was
only Bradley being serious.
The amount.
Wait, no, that was all me.
Oh, that's true.
I was the only one that said it.
We can't speak to whether or not Michael was being serious.
The amount of feelings I feel when it's different with Ösla because I don't know, it not being the primary writer, it's like less stressful.
It's not as precious.
Yeah, but when I would play my own music, like the amount of stuff that I felt, I never like met people. You know what I mean? Like I don't even think I had the capacity to like make friends. I just spent the whole time like stressed out
about yourself.
And like either like devastated at how bad it was or it was never there was no potential for like even talking to people in a real way.
It's like honestly wild that those tours happened. We're like, I don't know, it's such primitive touring. Like we're so young and stupid. And
my setup was like just like too much. It's just like, why am I doing this?
Brad, you were doing the most, Brad? What was your setup?
I'd bring like a television with me.
Oh shit! Like a tube TV or like
just like it was a flat screen. It was plasma.
Okay.
But I just set up this television.
No biggie.
That had videos and it was all like synced up.
Right.
There were lots of times when it went poorly. It was like a high opportunity for something to go wrong.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's when you're adding more elements,
and doing it, and I was just playing alone and trying to do it all.
I remember that. Yeah. I remember seeing one of those shows.
I don't ever remember his set going badly. I remember, like, my memory of it was just like, Bradley and I were like fairly new friends at this point too.
How long have y'all been friends? No, to today.
Now?
Yeah.
Maybe
10?
No, like 8.
8? Okay.
I was 20 and now I'm 28. But I remember like he was a new friend and I just remember like generally being like so impressed with his like video stuff and like I was impressed that it just like sounded pretty similar every night. Like it was consistent and it was pretty tight.
Right.
And I was like overwhelmed on his behalf at like how big of a production it was for just being like one person. Yeah. But yeah, my memory is still of it like being impressive.
That's good. I do remember the best show that I had was one where a really like young guy who was a big fan of Henry's wanted to like meet Henry.
Okay.
Before we played, which was like,
wait, what?
Yeah, it was weird. Like he like got in touch or something and was like, "Hey, I want to like ask you questions about.
I want Henry's hair."
Yeah, he was like, I want to lock it.
I want to lock it. Right.
And we like hung out with him earlier. He was just like kind of like just a younger guy,
Right.
and he just really liked Henry's stuff and like wanted to like talk to him about music, I guess.
Nice.
And but I don't know how old he was, and I don't know what happened to him, so I don't know if there's any chance that
He got
hear
addicted.
this.
Tragically passed away.
Yeah,
Got
he could be
addicted
dead.
to heroin, and
But
he's dead now.
In my memory, he was like 14. I don't know if that's accurate, but I feel like his mom like drove him and dropped him off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then his girlfriend was there, and it felt like his first girlfriend. And then in a part of my set, there's a part like the climactic ending has a
Right.
bunch of fireworks and stuff, and he started making out with his girlfriend.
Oh my gosh. I
And it
remember
felt like a
that.
first kiss, and it felt like in their mind they were in like Perks of Being a Wallflower. Or something.
Baby, you're a firework.
And
you
it was pretty sweet.
know? Perks of being a wallflower.
I remember that.
Asleep
felt
by the
infinite.
Smiths starts playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. And in reality, we were like in a church in Panama City Beach or something like that. Just like some weird place that was having a show.
No, that was at A&M Theater, which was awesome.
In Panama. Yeah.
And,
we played
you
there.
played there?
Yeah.
I don't think it's still a place.
I don't think so. I remember it was upstairs.
Yeah.
We had to
Oh,
go.
yeah.
And I was like, fuck this. We have to carry all of our shit upstairs.
That did suck. I remember that as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But we had fun. We
Good
enjoyed it.
memories.
Well, that's the, playing shows, I have the mentality that it's like baseball, where if you're hitting 3 out of 10, you're fucking
In the Hall of
legendary,
Fame. Yeah.
you know? So that's the attitude I've grown to accept, like you were saying, Henry, where it's expecting less and just I'm projecting this on you, expecting less and kind of just going with the flow.
Sure.
Doing what you can do, covering all your bases, being like, hey, I can send you flyers. I can send you the flyer
Right.
file. Can you print this out? Or even being like, hey, I'm going to print out flyers at Kinko's. Can you go or FedEx, whatever, and go pick them up, trying to
Right.
cover everything that you can cover.
Yeah.
I think finding the right kind of venue for your music is super important.
Yeah, that too.
Context is always really, really important in music.
Right. We don't end up we never play at places where we feel, well, that's not true. It's far less often that we like that we'll like show up to a venue somewhere and like feel like, what the fuck?
Like we don't belong here.
Right.
This is not a good fit. Like,
Yeah.
and I think in like the early tours we booked where I'm like 22 years old or whatever, and just like not knowing what I'm doing booking, it felt like that happened all the time. Like we'd end up at a biker bar. We would like
Oh, yeah.
end up, I don't know.
There was at least one show that we just decided not to. They like got in touch. We like got there and there were like no flyers. The place seemed
Right.
kind of abandoned.
Yeah.
And we ended up like it just like we kind of, I think we maybe got in touch with the venue or something, and we're just like, hey, just like want to cancel this. No one knows.
Let's just call it off.
Absolutely.
And they were like, yeah, let's just.
No,
It
let's
felt
just do
like
it.
mutually
Yeah.
beneficial
Mutually.
to call it off.
Yeah.
Like an amicable, like,
Sorry.
yeah, no
Right.
one wants to do this, so why do it?
Gosh,
Nobody
that
wants
is-
to do this.
And part of that for
None of
me,
us want to
like,
be here. Sorry.
Yeah. Just like I think a big part of that too was like being not confident in my own
Oh, for
like
sure.
art.
Yeah.
And just kind of like not
Please.
confident in my set,
Right.
not like just feeling kind of like, what's the point?
Please,
Like,
somebody, anybody,
but it's
answer
crazy
me.
because like I've spent all this time like booking, and it's wild to think about like not doing everything you can to like
Right.
make it as good as possible.
Right.
I think practice is like a really underrated thing as well.
For sure.
We're
Yeah.
talking practice.
Talking
But,
practice. Practice?
there was kind of like a point where even after we had been playing for a while as Ösla,
Right.
where we were going to play for someone to wanted to like film a little video of us playing one of the songs. and we were like, well, we don't want to, don't want to do a bad job, so we practiced a lot on just one song.
Right.
And I think it kind of like maybe clicked with Henry. Like, that we both kind of like realized like, oh yeah, this is what you have to do. Like, you need to practice so much.
Right.
That like, that you feel so locked in, and you feel like there's not that, you want to take away that element where you're like worried about it. Like, worried about your ability to perform
we right now? Yeah, playing a song, yeah.
That anxiety like was such a big part of my experience playing every show. Like up until you and I started playing in Ösla together at least. And then I don't know, when you started playing with me, I felt almost more like
infinite.
Yeah.
More like pressure to be good or like to try harder.
That's yeah.
Like,
well, I think one thing is a lot of times, I mean, the interesting thing for me about Ösla is like, I've played my own music, but I've played a lot more playing with other people, which is more like what I'm comfortable with, like playing other people's music in a live setting. And I think a lot of people who are the one, like whenever you're the primary songwriter, whenever it's your thing, it's hard to get people to practice and like work on the song and like want to do that, because you're always like, people are doing you a favor.
Right, absolutely.
In almost every band, everyone's kind of like, yeah, well, like I'll play with you, but there aren't that many bands where everyone is equally invested. So I think it's hard for the person in charge to say like, no, that wasn't good, and we need to work on it more. Like, let's play this song 10 times in a row.
right.
It ends, most band settings, most of the people end up just kind of like settling for kind of knowing the song.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you can get to that point where you like, I'm different, like in that sense, like I'm like, oh, I like to do this. Like, let's do it over and over and over, and let's like get good at it. That's such a good feeling for me.
Can I cut in here?
Yeah.
Well, Brad, you're like a paid actual like musician.
Actor.
And yeah. I hired Brad for this podcast. I went on Mobile, Alabama Craigslist, and was like, need one mustachioed actor to do a podcast with, 2 hot dudes. But no, I think that's just a you can tell when a band or a group has gone past the point of like, we're having fun. Okay, we're having fun over here, and we're serious and like an actual thing over here.
For
and
sure.
Practice is definitely one of those things.
Sure.
Like we play songs about pizza and girls, but we're very serious about practicing and taking care of all the things that we can control. You can't control how many people are gonna come out to a show.
Right.
When you're emailing whoever, you can't control how people are gonna react at the show, because we've played shows where there's been a lot of people and there's like, what the no reaction.
Right.
I'd rather get a negative reaction than zero reaction.
I don't know.
That's
Debatable.
Well, that's
But I can
that's the professional wrestling
that sentiment
mindset
sure.
in me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, if you're playing a more aggressive style of music too, I think it's meant to get a reaction. Like, if you're playing in a punk band of some kind and you're getting zero reaction, you're like doing something really wrong, probably.
Sure.
I think maybe Ösla is
right there, punk rock.
It's very aggressive.
Very
but I think
in your
maybe
face.
that a lot of times the best reaction to Ösla is like no reaction. It is like people being like, that was pleasant, which is, it doesn't always, and that's not always expressed in an outward way.
Right.
Sure.
But I do think there's something really nice about, like, personally, I kind of have that gene of wanting to, like, when it comes to music, like, I I don't want to say mastery because I'm not trying to like
Ooh,
become the
pompous.
master.
Yeah.
But like that personal sort of like thing of like, and it's, if you're playing a supporting role like I do,
Right.
a lot of the time you don't really have as much to worry about. Like you just have a job to do.
Right.
And there's something like that feels really good about, regardless of what's going on.
Right.
How, whether people care or whatever, when you can just sort of focus on like, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to make it like, I want it to be challenging enough that it is like a little bit of a challenge. And even though like Ösla's music is very simple, I get to like do a bunch of things at once.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like enjoyable, and being able to just like focus on a thing where you're like, I want to do this without making any mistakes.
Right.
That feels like really, really good in and of itself.
Right.
Even if nobody is watching, it like feels really good. So it makes like practicing fun, and it makes playing shows fun. Even if it's the worst show, you sort of go like, oh, I know I'm going to like
kill it.
You know, yeah. Right. I'm like an offensive lineman or something. Like even if the team does bad, I'm just gonna like
you did your
knock
job.
that guy over.
Now, Henry, Brad said something interesting, that Ösla's music is simple.
That's fair.
Do you have a rebuttal?
No.
I'm just joking. I'm just fucking with you.
I will say the simplicity of Ösla makes it.
Yeah, that's the charm. That's the charm, I think.
Yeah, it's the charm, which is one reason, like I say, I could never write the stuff that Henry writes.
Because you want to be
insecure,
right?
You know, I'd be like trying to like, I'd be like, oh, I don't, you know, I'm more of like a.
We got to cram all the shit in here.
It's such an interesting, like, I'm literally like I'm reaching my close to my like musical ability, like my peak. So like it's interesting.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I guess that wasn't a good way of expressing it, but like it's simple, but at the same time, like my background is so different from Bradley's that like I'm like at my musical, I'm operating like at my musical capacity most of the time, like playing this very simple music.
Well, it is like challenging music to play in the sense that when something is simple and repetitive, if you make a mistake, everybody knows.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like there's a lot of music you can play where you would never know if the person messes up, if they're like, you know, if they're a good performer and they know how to kind of hide it, or there's some chaos going on. But like so many times in Ösla, you're doing like the same thing over and over and over and over. And so if you mess it up, it's like, it's so glaring, and there's no hope that, you know, there have been times in other settings where I like did something that in my mind was like humiliating, like a mistake. And then afterwards someone was like, wow, you were great. You know, and people that I like might respect, like that I know about music would be like, that was so good. And I'd be like, well, what about that like horrible mistake I made in this song?
That arpeggio I missed.
Did
not notice. But like in Ösla, it's like, well, there's two keyboards happening, and you know,
right.
You know when it goes bad or something's missed, I think.
Yeah.
At least in terms of hitting a wrong note.
Definitely.
You know?
It seems like, I don't know, I think on our like earliest tours, like maybe even our first tour where you were playing with me, where we were playing together, I don't know, I think those moments have become more rare, at least. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
I mean, I feel like I can remember very specific mistakes.
Same,
like
yeah,
in Ösla.
Absolutely.
Like there are times, because it feels so bare, that there are mistakes that I've made that like haunt me.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh man.
Where you just think, there's one that we do on purpose a lot when we're practicing that I don't really know how to explain it, except it just sounds like this riff that happens like that I have to play, that happens like over and over and over on the one song. Like it probably happens 64 times in a row, I guess. And the one time, it's just like this. If you hit this one wrong note, it sounds like you turned it into kind of like a blues
It's
Blue.
riff.
Yeah.
And it hurts so bad.
Yeah.
And it's hard when I'm playing it not to hear it that way. Like
Yeah.
not to hear it the wrong way and want to like hit that as a joke.
Right.
It's painful, haunting.
Live, I'll put myself out there a little bit. We our first fest,
the Handsome Scoundrels.
Handsome Scoundrels, the band. We got on this festival in Gainesville, this punk rock festival that been working for, trying to get on. It's like the Coachella of our music genre, and so our first fest that we got on, we had worked to get on there, and we, just by happenstance, the guy who runs it, Tony, he was at one of our shows in St. Augustine, earlier that year, and just happened to be there. And we're like, oh, okay, well, let me hit him up and be like, hey, do you remember when we were playing? You saw us. We played the show. Can we get on Fest?
Can we get on Fest?
Can we get on Fest? And he's like, yeah, I remember y'all. You guys can play this time slot, whatever. And we started playing, and I was so nervous, I fucked up the second song. I was like multiple frets away from where I should have been, and I was like, okay, well, this is it. This is my punk rock career. This is it. I'm gonna just fucking kill myself.
Yeah.
Multiple frets.
Right.
Have you ever considered doing like performance enhancing
Fret work?
Like drugs,
Like doping.
not drugs, but like beta blockers or anything like that? Like some music, like I think I've heard that like a lot of like classical soloists and stuff take beta blockers. I'm not doing like a Joe Rogan.
Alpha brain? Do you want me to take
alpha brain? It's a real
alpha
thing,
brain?
I think. To like keep the adrenaline.
Oh no.
Well, it seems like the adrenaline was the problem in this.
Well, that was okay.
To be
fair,
beta blockers, I believe,
okay.
keep your adrenaline from like surging. So if you're getting on stage to do like a speech or some sort of like musical performance, your hands won't be shaking as bad, your heart rate won't be as elevated.
To be fair, that was the one time that it's happened.
That's the only mistake you've ever made.
Yeah, I've never made any mistakes before. And I was like,
I've
what
seen
the
you
fuck
play a
is this
lot.
thing?
I haven't heard a lot of mistakes.
I was sweating. I was like, what the hell is going on here? But yeah, that was the one time where I was like, man, okay, I just fucked the band. I just screwed that one song.
Did anybody?
No, just one guy who had toured with us before, and he had seen us every night, and he was like, what happened with the second song?
Multiple frets.
Right.
I think those kind of those things like have to happen to you though.
You got to grow.
You got to bomb. We're just like stand-up comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I've had like such humiliating experiences on stage that I don't think that I'm like afraid of anything happening to me at this point.
Yeah.
I've had
Same.
such bad shows. Really, like even the ones with Henry when we were touring together.
Right.
Those were like compared to shows that I did without Henry, where I was playing my own music by myself. Those were like highlights. Like I had such bad shows. I don't know. Like for some reason, my live set just felt like it generated. It was like polarizing or something. And people really like to just like tell you how they feel. So there are just like a lot of like performances where people would come up to me and say like, I wouldn't say mean, just like weird things that made me like bum me out. And
like what? Can you give one example?
There was a I can give so many examples.
Well, yeah, I give the best.
I'll give them
the
all.
best example.
No, we're giving them all. Definitely like a show where somebody like a certain promoter locally who's not around anymore, but who was
R.I.P.
the worst.
R.I.P.
He's Yeah.
Respect.
I'm sure he's alive, but he's not.
He should be
doing
dead.
shows. He should be dead. Yeah. I'm sure he meant well, but he kind of like misrepresented. There was a show that I wanted to play on Halloween, and he misrepresented. He was like, "I can get you on this show, but like you need to do like something Halloween specific because your music's not like exciting enough for Halloween." And the band I was wanting to play with was not like, they were kind of more ambient. Like that's why I wanted to play with them. They were like a touring band, but he was like, "But we need to have something exciting happening for Halloween at this venue. So like, can you do like a Halloween song?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can do that." And then he started telling people that I was going to play like all Halloween, a whole set of original Halloween music. Yeah. The show was in like a week and a half.
Oh my God.
So I like wrote like 5 Halloween songs in a week. And then I played them. It didn't go well because it wasn't good.
Because
I'd written them in like a week. And it wasn't a good place to play music. People, I didn't feel like people were like that interested in like hearing it or anything like that. And then when I got done playing, the promoter told me, he was like, "I like your songs, but you should just never sing again."
Brutal.
I was like, "Thank you. That's
oh my God.
I like your songs,
constructive. I mean,
but
it's honest.
You
honest.
are the worst part of your songs."
Yeah, and then he started telling me how his friend should sing my music, and I was like, "Oh, that's where this is like."
This is where it's going.
Yeah,
it's gross.
His friend that kind of sounded like the singer of Incubus. He was like, "Yeah, he's a great singer. He would sound a lot better singing. So maybe you should talk to him. I can introduce you." I was like, "Oh, that's nice."
Might.
So how did that go when you linked up with his friend?
When you linked up with the guy from Incubus.
Yeah, I'm an Incubus cover band.
Right.
But yeah, there was stuff like that, or just people like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of like backhanded compliments. I felt like I would get a lot of like, I hated that, but like, you're so brave, or something like that. Like something like
so brave.
It's very creative. I didn't like. I remember a guy telling me, I had just driven like, how far is it to Chapel Hill? Like 13 hours, 12 hours.
A long time.
Okay, only 9, but we drove that one day to play Chapel Hill, played there. The show was awful for a lot of reasons. On the way there, I saw that the venue said like, "We will do nothing to promote your show. This is just let anyone have the show here." Open mic. It wasn't my show that I booked, but I didn't know that until we were on the way there, that it was no one would be there. So it was just like playing in a weird bar. And then afterwards, a guy said, "I didn't like it. Just let me just tell you, I did not like it."
Get out on the front of it.
It's really not my thing, but it was very original. But I did not like it. Like he just kept saying it over and over. I was like, I get it. Like I
fucking hated it. I get it.
This is like the nicest thing you could. This is the nicest thing you could like think to say to me. It's just lying.
It's crazy what It's crazy what people think when they think they're being nice, and so there's like, not my thing.
Yeah, it's like you didn't have to say anything.
You could just been like,
I didn't like approach you and ask,
"Hey man, what'd you think?"
I assumed it. Nobody reacted when I was playing. I assumed nobody liked it.
Right.
I assume you didn't like it unless you say otherwise.
Right.
And even then, I'm like, oh, they're probably just lying.
Being nice.
Yeah, they're just being nice, which is cool.
There's this Canadian punk rock band that we love called Chicks Dig It, and they have a song called "You're Pretty Good," and it's about getting off stage and being like, we just finished a show and we're sweating through our clothes, and somebody comes up to us and goes, "You're pretty good."
Yeah. It's like, what a compliment.
Yeah.
Thanks,
bro.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that. I'm going to journal. That's my dream journal. I'm going to put that in there.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't really play my own music. I feel like there's a nice level of separation.
Yeah.
When I'm playing with Ösla.
Well,
doesn't feel like my personal feelings put into song form. Or
the preciousness. Me and Bradley and I have talked about this off air without Henry about preciousness
behind his back,
behind Henry's back.
He's so precious.
Precious boy. We're trying to preserve Henry.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's a good setup that we have, is like that balance of, Henry, they're his songs for sure. He's the captain of the ship.
If I could go back around 85%.
Please.
Yeah, 85. And it's like he's really committed to his thing. He knows
what he wants.
And I believe in it. Like, I trust him because he has a knack for making stuff that people actually like, which I do not have. I don't know that feeling. I feel like Henry, like his
love it.
His instincts
Charisma.
are always good. Like he had a band name before, that he played under a different name. I always I didn't really get the band name. Somebody contacted him and was like, I mean, that's not exactly how it happened, but like someone kind of stole his band name. He, was able to be like, no, you've got to get permission to use this band name for me.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just his instinct of choosing the band name was popular. Right. Yeah. And a lot of the music that he's done, it's consistently been well liked. So I know that what he does is good, and I trust his direction more so than I trust my own.
Right.
I just sort of come in as that second voice, so that it's not the less precious part. That's just, that doesn't need to happen that many times. Right. Or I specifically remember when we first became friends and I'd hear stuff, I'd be like, what if you had drums? What if there was a beat? And he would just be like, never. Or I think he started doing it live. Before. He did a couple songs live where he had some sort of electronic drums, and I was like, that was
the best part.
That was great. That was next level. It just elevated it when you have a song like that. And he was just, I was like, what? Why don't you do that on your, on your recordings? He's just like, absolutely not. That's he acted like it was crazy. I just
die before
suggested
I put
to Bob
drums.
Dylan that he tries the electric guitar.
Electric guitar. People are gonna hate me.
Yeah, and we still have one of the fun things about working on his recordings is that there is so much space to work with, and it feels like every decision feels it doesn't feel like anything's taken for granted. Right. When you play with a lot of people, if you have a bigger band, it's just sort of everything is there. Right. Right. If there's multiple guitarists, there's not going to be a discussion about, are we all playing on this song? Usually it's just sort of we know that's there. So it feels like you want to add the hi-hat, and we've had long disputes, not disputes, we work together really well, but where we both have a different opinion. It's just it's okay for that hi-hat to hit twice on that second verse, just that little. And he's just like, I don't know. I don't want people to think I'm Skrillex or something. And I'm like, I don't think I promise you, nobody's going to notice that extra hi-hat hit.
We won't. Yeah.
But if I took over and added all the things I wanted without that sort of back and forth, then it would just kind of lose its thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely a good it's a good balance.
I think so.
We meet in the middle a lot, and I think there are a lot of things that I years ago when we started, when Bradley started having, a little bit more creative input, I am a lot more comfortable, taking some risk or more risk now than before. I think it's allowed me to make decisions more confidently, or I don't know. I've stepped a little bit away from the preciousness that I think I had when I started. Right. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think. I mean, we've also just figured out what works for our setup, the way to record. When Henry and I when I kind of first got involved with actually working on the music with Henry, because we had already been friends for a while at that point and been touring together and stuff, and got along really well. But I kind of the first thing we did together was I had him come to my place and try to record that way, right? Where he had sort of given me this stuff to start with some of the tracks, and it was like, all right, we'll record the vocals, like I'll record you singing and stuff like that.
Right.
And it like, I think the result was fine, but it was definitely like really challenging.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, like it just didn't, it felt more difficult. It's, he didn't like, you know, and I'm the same way. Like I don't love someone to be around when I'm recording vocals.
Sure. And
You
just
know,
like,
it's like really
it's weird,
nerve wracking,
yeah.
and
And
it felt
part
like
of-
it knocked him off his game. Kind of, it like made him uncomfortable.
definitely, like I felt I couldn't, like even after like 2 takes of trying to do the same, 2 takes on like the same like vocal
Right.
idea, I'm like, if it's not going well, I'm just like, fuck, I'm wasting Bradley's time right
Right.
now. He's like,
Well, sorry.
yeah, he's like doing all this stuff for me, and I'm like, you know, I need to like try this in the privacy of my own home, and
Right.
like I need to like try and fail a million times
Right.
when the stakes are low and
Right.
nobody's around.
Well, recording wise, it's like you hear stories of olden days of like, I don't know, Bob Rock recording Metallica and being like, we're on take 90 of, you know, of 1 or whatever, doing vocals.
Yeah.
You know, that's not good. You know, next, let's try it again. But it's like, I've done the same exact take over and over. You know?
Yeah. I think there's that recording vocals is like recording yourself is like, to me, one of the hardest things. Recording your own voice is so difficult. And even just doing that with a friend, even like the way we were first recording it, when he would come over and he'd use my mic and I was like running the recording.
Right.
There's just some level of like, it's impossible to not be precious in some ways.
Right.
Unless you're just like, you know, a real singer, which I'm not. I don't feel like I'm like that. You know what I'm saying? Like there are
Right.
people
And you're not a mass singer.
like my brother who
Right.
did your theme song. You know, I don't think there's any doubt when he sings. He knows like it's good. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure him with a great producer, like doing 90 takes, could produce incredible stuff. But like, I think for people like Henry and myself, I think it just leads to more and more like existential crisis.
Right. Where it's
And,
like, man,
you know,
we're
you're
never going to
hating your
get there.
life, and I don't know
accurate.
what I'm doing, and what was
Right.
the point of that, and you just can't even like hear yourself clearly.
Right.
So we've sort of worked out a system where he records. He kind of like he'll show me stuff he's working on, show me ideas and stuff. I give feedback. Most of the feedback I like to give people is just like ideas. It's just like, here's like 5 things you could do. It's
Right.
not usually 5 things, but you know, just
Right.
like, oh, here's
Couple
a chord
things,
that
yeah.
you could add. Here's this thing. And just like, if you like these things, I just don't even think about it. It's like,
Right.
if one of these inspires you, cool. If not, I don't really, you know, I trust you. And then eventually, once the song's kind of written, he records it all by himself.
Yeah.
He does, you know, the vocals and everything, pretty much. He records it and then sends it to me to mix. And then I kind of like to mix by myself a little bit at first.
Right.
Kind of just like get everything, because I'll feel insecure mixing and worrying, and I think he'll start to fret if he's like listening to me
Right.
mix the stuff, start being
Right.
like, that doesn't sound good or whatever. It's just like, no, just let me do my thing.
Right.
Right.
Let's get this like kind of like rough, at least let me do the obvious things, and then the back and forth kind of starts from there.
Yeah.
We figure out what needs to be re-recorded, or I'll record ideas that I have.
Right.
You know, what for the instruments that I have that I like to add, and it becomes more like back and forth at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
We both like at
Collab.
first definitely spend time alone with like the project
Right.
separately, and then like we're both kind of familiar by the time we get in the room together. And
Right.
Yeah, there's usually like a finishing. The final mix is usually us together,
Right.
kind of like, you know,
Right.
finalizing stuff.
Right.
I know some of the new stuff. There was one song that maybe had the most, kind of like, like the most extreme mixing changes. Kind of, I don't know, like Antelope Island.
yeah.
It's one of the new songs.
Okay.
just because I felt like it was like a different kind of song than he had done before.
Right.
And it was like a big challenge to figure out.
Yeah.
Sorry. To figure out.
Sorry, it's okay to get emotional.
I get emotional.
Right.
No, just to figure out how to. I'm always worried about doing too much.
Oh yeah.
With Henry's stuff. So it was like his poppiest song in a sense.
Right.
And so constantly worried about like, I could totally take this song and ruin it. And add
Go
way too
over
much
the top,
stuff and
yeah.
be like, oh, what? Yeah, and just turn into like an EDM song.
Well, yeah, that's from the outside looking in. I think the as we were talking before, the simple, not in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 on the floor, you know, bit of Ösla is what I enjoy. So if it was more, you know, if you're like, oh, I think I can get like a tabernacle choir on here, you know.
Didn't get a Mormon choir.
This song would be great.
Yeah,
you know, it'd be so different. You know.
Expectations are like really important in music, like setting up expectations, and it kind of goes back to the context thing, like we were saying before, which is like a David Byrne thing, I guess. Like I know you've read.
I don't know, David.
Yeah,
I don't know what that
I
is.
know you've read his book, and you can deny it.
He's like a fire guy.
Suck,
what does he do? Like a fire person?
He's a burn victim.
He's a burn. 95% of his body is burned.
But like context matters, and it's
right.
You know, it's about setting up expectations. So like, if we go, I think one thing I learned a lot is like playing in the wrong situations.
Yeah.
One reason it's so difficult is because there's an expectation there.
Yeah.
When you go to a really noisy bar where people are wasted and like very loud bands play, and you try to play like thoughtful, quiet music, nobody, like, it's not going to work, right? Nobody wants to hear that in that setting. And there's something about Henry's music that sets up the expectation. Like, you kind of are very quickly understand what he's doing.
Right.
And so if you did too much stuff, it would set up the expectation that even more stuff is coming.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You sort of get like the commitment to the simpleness. So when something does happen, it feels like enough.
Right.
Sure.
When you're doing simple things like that, and then you add something, the dynamic range doubles or whatever. It's the equivalent of if you got really loud with the band.
Right.
Right. Man, we've been going for a while here.
Are you sick of us? Or?
No, hell no.
I thought there'd be like an ad break.
Yeah.
Blue Chew. But no, I wanted to bring up one Ösla song that I really enjoy is I Haven't Slept.
Yeah.
That hits me, right?
Aw. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Does it?
It does. I wouldn't say it if I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Do you want to talk about where that came from? Or
okay. Yeah, I think that it's the first song on our right now
the
most
EP, right?
recent EP, Mooney, from 2018.
From 2000. It's our most recent EP. It's 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's for a long time that was like my favorite thing that we've ever done, because it felt like at the time like the exact like the ideal structure of an Ösla song.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's really simple, and it's just kind of a build.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like at that time I think my like idea of what I'm trying to do has changed since then, but I think I really connect with where I was at when I made that song.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you like it.
Yeah.
'Cause,
And you didn't pay me to say that. You haven't cash at me.
Well, I think that song,
And we're we're ready to go back to a podcast. No.
I feel like that song really, it kind of set up a lot. It's like structured so symmetrically.
Right.
And it's just like, this thing happens 4 times and then another thing's added onto it, you know? And it's sort of like set up. That was like one of the first songs that we played together.
Right.
I think because we did his EP before that. I just sort of recorded it and mixed it some.
Yeah.
And then it was for that stuff from Mooney that we started actually like playing shows together as Ösla,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And we made a video of ourselves playing that song, I Haven't Slept, and that was maybe the first one. And that was sort of where a lot of the ideas that are still like the foundation of how we play songs together, that's where they sort of made sense, because since it was this like layering song, it was easy to sort of figure out how to use all the stuff we had available to like make those layers happen.
Yeah.
Because it was really easy to logically be like, all right, I'm doing this. Oh, I only need, one hand on this instrument to do this. So I can just get this hand ready to play this other riff, or it's like really easy to loop this part.
Right.
Or something like that. A lot of the stuff that now we do, I think in a more complex way, as far as not everything's so linear and symmetrical.
Right.
Sure.
But it's still a lot of the same muscles that we developed or something like that. Of like, oh yeah, we know we can do these. This is the amount of things we can do at once.
Right.
And figuring out now how to do that in more complex ways.
Yeah.
Of more songs that go up and down a little bit more than I Haven't Slept.
Yeah. That one just starts like just vocals and mellotron. Like it starts, it's just one thing, and then by the end it's all the things, and it's just a straight like
crescendo.
Yeah, right. There are not many twists and turns.
No, we're going up. It's a ski lift to bring it around. No, that's I mean the lyrics. I have I've got problems with sleeping, and so I don't know. That might have hit me more, where it's like I haven't slept.
It definitely alludes to like just exhaustion.
Yeah, I don't have time to. Well, not like in a bad way, but it's just like. Well, maybe in a bad way, where it's like I don't have time right now to deal with maybe a relationship. I don't know if that was where it was coming from, but I don't have time to deal with this other thing because I haven't slept in a couple days.
Sure, yeah.
One big thing that I was into when I kind of when I first, I can't remember why we started, like what led to us recording that EP together, as far as like the first one that I worked on with you for Ösla. Like I don't remember what the point was, like when
money to make money.
Yeah, it was for the money. Right. But Henry's previous stuff, he had always kind of done it on his own.
Right.
And then I can't remember, like I wanted to work with him. I think he was like skeptical about like just dealing with that dynamic of working with someone else.
Well, yeah, you're in a relationship,
right,
with each other.
And one thing that was like that one belief I had was that his older music, pre-Ösla, I always felt like I wanted to hear the lyrics more, and like I wanted to find a way to like have him still have the ambience that he likes and like the lush reverb and everything like that. But like let's like figure out a way where you still hear the words a little bit. Yeah. Because I was like, I like the words a lot. And some of his older recordings would be like, oh, I can't. There's so much like reverb and everything like that, and they're recorded so distantly.
Right.
So that, I think that song kind of represents, I don't know, there's some, like, I feel like on the Mooney stuff, like a lot of the lyrics, I think because of the mics that he started using and the way he started recording vocals and the kind of comfort as well. Because I think there was an insecurity he maybe had about like being able to hear the vocals in the way that I wanted to hear them.
Right.
Definitely. Part of it too was just like being uncomfortable with my voice and like you know, until probably around when we started recording together, that's like when I considered like my vocal range and like writing songs based on that instead of just like keeping it in the key of the first time whenever I wrote it.
Yeah, I know that.
But
Right.
yeah, that all.
Which also leads to like making playing live so much easier. Like when there were so many songs he had before that he couldn't play live because he was like, oh, I don't think I can actually like sing it in that key.
Right.
Not that like you have to do it in the same key, but you know, there was like always like a lot of these like issues with that kind of stuff. And then
Right.
I think once he started figuring that out, when you are going to make that decision to have the vocals more audible like that or record them in a new way, then it's sort of like forced picking the right key, picking and being more comfortable with what you're singing and knowing like
Right.
you need to have a better performance. And then when you go to do it live, there's less insecurity. There's not a lot of like, oh, there's no way I can do that.
Right.
I remember there was a lot of adjustments. There were a lot of adjustments between like recording and like when I was thinking about playing it live. I remember like I think most of the songs were performed live in a different key from how I recorded it. And now that's not really a thing. It's always how it's recorded.
Yeah.
I think anytime you can have a better performance, I think like performance, whether it's for the recording
Right.
or primarily when it's for the recording, it's like more important. I like think performance over fidelity.
Yeah.
Like I would rather hear someone perform something really well, record with like a cell phone,
Right.
than I would want to hear somebody who's really bad,
Right.
you know, record in the greatest, like with the, you know, in the
Right.
greatest studio and just have
Quincy
their voice
Jones.
be, heavily have to have their voice be like heavily processed,
Right.
to make it palatable. And I think that started to happen. And I think that led to like our live performances feeling better, feeling like, you know, when you play the songs and you can feel really good about them,
Yeah.
then it's like, I don't know, like it adds another
Yeah. It's a
level. It makes it kind of, they feed into each other.
Yeah. That's a different feeling when you feel locked in with the other person, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Before I also like would not like I essentially played by myself for a lot of like our early tours and would just put a lot of stuff in a backing track,
Right.
which is just like I don't know, so much less thought went into how I would perform it because I could just defer to the track
Right.
and put whatever I didn't want to do live in the track. And I don't know, I think somehow that's still just like made for such a worse experience. Like even having the stuff how it was recorded playing, I think now there's so much more thought being put into like what each of us is doing.
Yeah, it's harder to have things happen organically when, you know, it's
just
pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if when you're with another person playing together, even if you do the exact same thing every time, there's gonna be like a difference to it. You know what I mean? Like, even if every note we technically play is exactly the same, the chance to like have dynamics build together and
Right.
everything like that, like it makes a difference.
Right.
There's like actually something happening.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in the set, like, especially if you have to use pre-recorded tracks where you just press play
Right.
and you don't have any control over like doing much with them. It's I think much more difficult to like for something real to feel like something real is happening.
The worst like show mistakes that I remember are all mostly related to like back when I played with tracks, because if you mistimed something, you're fucked for the rest of the song.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
If you get lost,
Yeah.
like I remember one song like the track was just a bass drum, just like whole notes for a really long time.
Yeah.
And if you miss the start by even one, then like the climax of the song, when it's not just the bass drum, if all the other instruments come in at the wrong time, it's disastrous. I remember that happening once.
Well, the way he was using backing tracks too is like some people use backing tracks and they have like, you know, their separate in-ear mix and they've got a click track and they've also got a guide vocal, you know, that's telling you chorus in 2, 3, 4.
Right.
So it ensures that even if you get lost, there's something that will tell you.
Hey.
But he's literally just having to sit there and play with the bass drum going over and over from an iPod or from his iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like if you mess up, like you have no way of. It's almost impossible. Like you just have to wait until the next thing comes in.
Right.
I just had
it's insane. It's so difficult.
I had no idea what I was doing.
It's so much work.
Love it.
It's crazy how little I knew.
How far we have come.
Yeah,
You know?
now we're famous.
Now we're rich.
Now y'all are
very
famous.
Successful.
Well, you know, I've looked at the Ösla numbers on Spotify.
You crunched them.
They're not bad, right? Am I wrong?
I mean,
Am I crazy?
am I wearing Supreme underwear right now?
I don't know. But it seems like you have figured out a way of getting on the right things that you want to be on.
I don't know. I wish I could tell you how. I don't. I feel like
I'll tell you.
it's hit and miss. Like
Right.
even the most recent song we've put out, like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know how to express what I'm trying to say.
Well, I'll tell you. Good music, recorded well. And it deserves to be on a thing. You know, that's what I'm saying. So good songs, recorded well, are going to end up on the right playlists on Spotify.
Sometimes it's like luck of the draw too.
That too.
That's, I think,
You got to
what
know the
I was-
right people as well.
Well,
That's a big thing.
And just getting on, like, if you just, there are a lot of playlists that are very influential and they're controlled
Right.
by one person.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
they're not all controlled, but each one kind of has its own. It's like, this is just a playlist a guy makes and he's respected. And if he decides that he likes your song, you're going to get a lot of streams.
Right.
And if they just, for whatever reason, don't like that song, it might not. Or like in the case of the last song we put out, it was on a YouTube channel that we really like, and that's really respected.
Right.
And the guy's YouTube channel got taken down for copyright infringement because he
By
kind of
Henry.
reposts songs. Yeah, Henry reported in.
Right.
But it's just like the song right when it was literally the night it got posted.
Right.
And it's getting like more plays, I think, than anything. Like speed wise was getting like plays at such a high rate, and then it got taken down.
Yeah.
So it's just like that when you're reliant on like one or two playlists. That's kind of if one goes wrong, it's
live
like,
and die by the
It's
sword.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, man, we've gone way longer than I was expecting to go. We're almost at an hour and a half. Yeah.
Dang.
I can only usually go like 5 minutes tops. But no,
It's
I'm
hard,
ex-
it's
Well,
hard to
we're all
believe.
buds.
It's hard to believe this podcast is almost halfway over.
Yeah, we haven't even had
we're
an
doing a
intermission
4
yet.
hour.
Yeah, we haven't even stopped to eat. We haven't.
I think we have
haven't
Arby's
gotten to the food
roast beef
review.
sandwiches on the way.
Yeah, we haven't gotten.
We
to the
haven't
food
even
review
done
part.
a segment.
A big
yet.
Montana is on the way.
Are there going to be
for
any
all of
segments
us.
on this
Yeah.
podcast? Like, do you have
Yeah,
any?
a big Montana segment for
is it?
Arby's.
Can we do it? Can we like invent a segment?
What do you want to do?
I don't know. I'm not a podcast host.
Yeah.
Shit.
I'm a podcast guest.
Yeah.
I'm barely a podcast host. I'm more of a podcast ghost.
So like, I don't know. What are some things I like to rank stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
We,
Okay. Hold on.
I have
Okay.
I have a specific set of skills. I think that lends
Certain
itself
set of
to
skills.
be. I don't know what. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say Henry is really into ranking things.
Nice.
And it's like it is a nice conversation.
Right.
starter. Like if you're just with someone and you don't know them that well, you can ask them to rank like
Okay.
something, or you can ask them like what was the best and worst thing
Right.
today, whatever. Fun fact though, it once it's also a lot of pressure, I guess. I mean, I don't
That's
feel
true,
like it's a lot
yeah.
of pressure, but it can be.
Right.
And I once was dating someone who's a bit more like socially
Don't say the word.
uncomfortable.
Okay. There
Like
you go.
just
That's
more
fine.
laid back and more doesn't like the pressure. And
Right.
Henry's request for rankings actually made her cry. Like later, she was just like humiliated because she didn't get it. Like she didn't get that it's like not that serious.
Right.
Oh no.
That he's not like making these demands.
Right.
But later, she was like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't rank anything.
Okay. Let's do top three.
I had repressed that.
music groups
Ooh.
from both of you,
God.
and then we're ending this podcast. This is too much.
What?
No, you gotta do something easier.
Top 3 movies.
These are just big questions.
What
It's like asking like
Jeez. I could.
about religion.
Top 3 religions. Catholicism. There you go.
Top 3. I mean, I think we're all gonna be in agreement. Top 3 gas station.
Oh,
chain.
let's
Yeah.
do gas station. Okay.
Like,
On the road, gas
you're on the
station
road.
chains.
Yeah.
Buc-ee's.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm
I mean,
saying
spoiler
Top.
alert. Everyone knows Buc-ee's.
Number 1, Buc-ee's.
Yes.
Okay. Number 2.
That's like a religion as
Number
well.
2,
I don't-
Sheets. Is it Sheets?
Okay, Sheets is
Or is it
definitely up
Wawa?
there. I'm less experienced with Wawa. I've only done Wawa like once or twice.
Honestly, though, who fucking cares after Buc-ee's?
I mean,
Well,
it's
yeah,
a,
but not everybody is not everybody is routed
privileged.
through
Check your
Texas
privilege.
or fucking Loxley, Alabama, wherever.
Yeah. Tell me,
if
how's
you're-
the brisket
for all the
at
international listeners, Buc-ee's is the greatest.
Right.
It's like, I want to call it like the Walmart of gas stations, but that sounds derogatory.
Right.
It's
The
like
Whole
if
Foods.
It's like if Walmart were amazing
Right.
and clean,
But the same size.
but the same size, but like higher quality somehow, and also had like
and also didn't
triple
treat.
digit gas pumps, like literally over 100.
And if they didn't treat their employees like shit.
Yeah, Buc-ee's is good. to the
Buc-ee's,
employees.
yeah, they make like $20 an hour starting out or something out.
Yeah, it's something good.
Something crazy.
The bathrooms are insane. It's like the so many bathrooms, so clean.
Right.
It's like there's a person whose job is just to. I mean,
Clean
this
the
doesn't
bathrooms.
sound
Yeah.
good for them, but they just hang out in the bathroom and clean.
Right.
Like every stall gets cleaned after a use.
Insane.
It's
Okay.
just it's a like a religious experience to be in
Right.
a Buc-ee's.
It's a what's the out in the never mind. I'm not going to go into it.
I've got time. Go ahead.
We're here for it.
Crunch the numbers.
Also
What, the
Buc-ee's
Busy Bee.
brisket.
The Busy Bee. Have you been to Busy Bee?
In Florida?
Out in Florida? Near Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Right.
Busy Bee is up there for sure.
Yeah. But there's only like one.
Diet Buc-ee's.
It does have some
Diet
like
Buc-ee's.
it does have some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
It has like more. I think Busy Bee has more of like a candy, like a wall of candy,
Right.
and the kind that you get like a plastic pouch and
Yeah.
get it pay by the ounce.
Right.
That's kind
By
of
the
fun.
ounce, yeah.
There's like a yogurt, maybe a frozen yogurt
Right.
situation.
Burger, a BK in there.
I still think Buc-ee's stands would dispute that Buc-ee's like candy wall isn't superior though, right?
Buc-ee's candy wall isn't superior.
Well, like I think it is.
Oh.
Is what I'm saying.
Oh,
Like they've got Buc-ee's brand taffy, like
That's true.
right? And
Buc-ee's also has great clothes. Like their merch is just
Well,
on another level.
This podcast is getting out of hand.
we're
I
draped head
gotta.
to toe in Buc-ee's right now.
No, we're on video right now.
Yeah.
I bought this at Buc-ee's.
Yeah, exactly.
Henry spent $1,400 on this outfit. It's all Buc-ee's.
They have the brisket at Buc-ee's.
It's fine.
It's
Okay,
for a gas station.
Right.
Okay, I'm done. Let's stop this podcast. We're getting crazy, right?
Talking about Buc-ee's.
Yeah, you guys are going into semantics about Bucky's brisket.
I feel like we're finally getting in the pocket.
Yeah, I feel like this is. I would
In
cut
the
out the
pocket.
first hour and a half and
Yeah.
just jump to the Bucky's talk. Sheets, if you haven't been, is really good.
That's good. Northeast. Yeah.
I got the last time I went on tour with Michael's band, the Handsome Scoundrels.
Right.
We did have, I think, 4 consecutive meals at Sheets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
sort of burned me out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we played in Pittsburgh, and we're like, it was late, and we were like, man, where can we get food? And they're like, I don't know, the Sheets. And we was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the Sheets.
I also feel like Robert, the singer and guitar player from your band, like I don't think that he eats.
He eats
Like-
very little.
He doesn't eat normal meals.
Right. Yeah. That's fair.
So it's sort of like a gas station is like his place he wants to eat.
It's optimal for him.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, he's able to pick and choose.
Yeah, and so Sheets is like kind of good because the food
You
is
can
solid.
make
You can get
meal.
anything there. Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to think of any. I mean, I like a Loves.
Yeah.
Solid,
Truck stop.
Solid.
familiar.
Just the consistency.
Right.
It's
gonna
definitely
be
up there
gross,
for me.
but you know exactly how gross it's gonna be.
Right.
I like that the layout is even the same.
Right.
Like I know where the
You know
the
where the
weird-
headset microphones
I know
are.
where the weird fruit cups are.
Yeah.
That I always wonder like how long
Have they been
the
there?
fruit has been there.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Any closing statements, Henry?
No, but I have some medium statements.
We've gone
haven't
way
gotten to my-
longer.
We haven't even gotten
than
to
I
my
thought.
prepared opening remarks.
Bradley's opening remarks.
I hereby state.
As a group, Ösla,
Best.
what is next?
Okay.
Oh,
We're sitting on a new EP.
it's
I-
done.
Yeah, it's done. It's barely done.
How many songs?
5.
Ooh, shit.
And an additional.
Okay, yeah.
Got a bonus track.
5 songs.
6 songs?
5 songs, one of which is a new mix of a already released song.
We updated it.
Yeah, we did. And a bonus track.
Nice.
Which is not really. Is it on the EP or is it just a separate
I think it's a separate thing.
Ooh, a single.
It's a
little
separate
cover song?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little cover song.
Right.
It's wild that it takes us like 2 years to make 5 songs.
Well, to be fair, it takes us like a long time to record songs too.
how many songs per month? Or
Shit.
not that you have to make a song every month, but like
Point.
for me, yeah, it's a decimal.
Right, yeah, decimal for sure.
Well, for most people, if you made 12 songs a year, you'd be working at it pretty good.
Right, you'd be Drake.
Right, but you guys have made full-length albums before.
That's true.
How long did it take to make the most recent full-length?
I think God just comes down and touches Robert. You know, no.
It's all one take.
How long start to finish, like first song being written?
Written?
Yeah.
The last album, Ooh La La, that came out last year on Swamp Cabbage Records and Snub Records, which you can buy at thehandsomescoundrels.com.
Wait, which one?
/shop.
Cabbage Records or
Swamp Cabbage Records.
Oh, okay,
And Snub Records,
okay.
which you can buy at thehandsomescoundrels.com /shop. Ooh La La. It probably took us 3 years.
Whoa, how many songs?
12.
So that's
0.3 a month.
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. That's all. That's all. Robert. Robert's the Henry of the group, and I'm the Brad.
Damn.
I'm the sex. You know.
He just comes in to polish off
Polish
the
it off.
leftovers.
Polish off the rest. But so there's an EP coming out.
Yeah.
Okay.
EP coming out.
We worked pretty slowly
We do. We live in.
How long have you been working on the name?
Oh, yeah. It's taken us a long time to even come up with a name.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a long process, and
Right.
also we live in separate cities too, which maybe makes it.
It's tough, but there's a
More
series
difficult.
of tubes that goes between these
That's
cities.
true. Yeah.
Pneumatic.
Pneumatic. Yep.
Right.
But I look forward to the new EP. You know, I like the songs that are out there right now. I think it's gonna be good.
Cool.
Yeah. Where can people find you online?
Deer Valley Ski Resort.
Yeah, if you want to book ski lessons with me at Deer Valley Ski Resort, just ask for Henry. I'm the only Henry, I think.
Wow.
Well,
If not,
You got somebody to kill.
I'm the only Henry from Alabama for sure.
Nice.
probably the only person from Alabama that's a ski instructor, right?
No, I think there have been ski instructors who have come and gone, who
They didn't last.
who are from Alabama.
Okay.
Well, it's a job that a lot of people just do for like a year.
Right.
Uh,
Taurus. That's what we call them in the business. So, Osla, what's the Instagram?
Osla.sound.
Ooh.
But you know, I've been trying to think of like a better Instagram handle.
I mean, that's good.
I'm over it. So sound off in the comments below.
Go off Queens and Kings.
With suggestions.
Right.
But yeah, for the time being, Osla.sound on Instagram, and there's the link in the bio has, you know, this all the other places you can find it. And
Yeah.
that's the best way to like find the Spotify, because it is really hard to find on Spotify, unfortunately. So the link in the Instagram bio.
Hell yeah. Cool.
If you want to book me
Bradley,
for something, anything,
Yeah, what's the website?
what's the Webby?
BradleyThomasTurner.com.
Hell yeah. Right on.
I got some music coming out, so
Ooh, a Christmas thing? Can I put that out there in the world?
Well, it sounds like you already have.
I you know. you
Sorry,
can't-
for all the pagans out
Christmas.
there. Winter
Christmas
solstice
surprise.
sang. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have some holiday tunes coming out.
Nice.
We'll see. I don't want to like cause an uproar.
Right. Mariah Carey to be beheaded, you
Yeah.
know. Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for, coming and sitting on the couch.
Thanks for having us.
Hell yeah.
It's a
It's been
pleasure.
a good time.
You had options, but you decided to talk to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and this has been part 1.
Part 1.
Join us.
Join us join us right now for part 2.
Loves versus Pilot.